Well, welcome to Wednesday, February 24th, and the reading of the Mansfield News Journal. My name is Pam, and let's begin today's reading with the area deaths. Deanna Marlene Baker, 78, of Galion, passed away on Saturday, February 20th, at her home. Friends may call on Wednesday, February 24th, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Mark A. Schneider Gom Funeral Home in Galion. The service will be immediately following. Burl Ray Engel, age 78, passed away Saturday, February 20th, at Ohio Health Mansfield. Calling hours will not be observed, and private family celebration of Burl's life will be held at a later date. Anna Paramore, 96, of Mansfield, died Saturday, February 20th, at Mansfield Memorial Homes. Friends may call between 6 and 8 p.m. on Wednesday, February 24th, at the Diamond Street home of Wapner Funeral Directors. Funeral services will be held at 1:30 p.m. on Thursday, February 25th, at the funeral home. And that concludes the area deaths available for today. So now we will begin with our first article. Witness: Skoog admitted to fault in death, by Mark Cottle. Jordan Skoog admitted his involvement in Austin Smiley's death, a witness testified Monday. Tyler Hamilton was the only other person present on the night of March 20th, 2019, when Smiley, 19, was shot and killed after a night of drinking with his friends and co-workers, Skoog and Hamilton. This wasn't nobody's fault but mine, Skoog said, according to Hamilton, the first witness on the third day of Skoog's trial in Richland County Common Pleas Court. Skoog, 30, of Belleville, is charged with involuntary manslaughter and reckless homicide, both with gun specifications, and misdemeanor using weapons while intoxicated in connection with the incident in the 1600 block of Frontier Trail in Mifflin Township. Hamilton told jurors what happened in the hours leading up to Smiley's death. The three had gathered at Hamilton's house after their jobs at Mid-Ohio Pipeline. Skoog was going to buy a lift kit from Smiley for his pickup truck. The three drank several beers in the garage of Hamilton's home before going to the backroom bar and grill for dinner and more drinks. The plan was to call it a night after dinner, but that obviously didn't happen, Hamilton testified. We weren't drunk, but buzzed up. Hanging out in the garage. They resumed hanging out in the garage, consuming more beer, while Skoog played with a Ruger, a gun he had recently purchased, he said. Hamilton had previously testified that the gun made him nervous. Defense attorney Robert Whitney asked Hamilton why he didn't do anything about the gun since they were at his home. Brenna Leifer, Hamilton's girlfriend at the time, told the guys to come inside around 9 p.m. Hamilton said both Skoog and Smiley were drunk and were welcome to stay the night. Skoog said he would go home, while Smiley called his father for a ride. Instead, the three hung out in the kitchen for another 45 minutes to an hour, drinking beer and moonshine. Hamilton said his girlfriend went to stay with his parents down the road because she needed to get up early the next day for work. Passed the gun around. Hamilton said Skoog and Smiley were passing the gun back and forth. I didn't want to be around alcohol and guns, Hamilton testified. I didn't think anything was going to happen. I trusted Jordan with the gun. Skoog had served in the military and had a permit to carry a concealed weapon. Hamilton said he was at the kitchen sink while the other two were at the end of a countertop when he decided to use the restroom. He said Skoog had not pointed the gun at anyone. I made it to where the hallway starts, and that's when the shot went off. Very loud, one shot, Hamilton said. That's when I turned around and seen Aaron on the ground. Screamed at Skoog. I knew it was too late. Hamilton said he screamed at Skoog. I looked at Jordan and said, "This ain't a big joke now, is it?" he testified. Hamilton said Smiley was dead. I panicked. I didn't know what to do, he testified. I seen a bullet hole in his head and a pool of blood under his head. Hamilton said Skoog acknowledged the situation was no joke and called his wife. The witness said he left the house and tried reaching his girlfriend and his parents. I wanted to get out of there, Hamilton said. Hamilton said Skoog remained in the house for a while before coming outside. Hamilton promised his father he had nothing to do with the shooting. He said that is when Skoog took responsibility. Leifer went inside to check Smiley's pulse and called 911. Hamilton tried to keep his girlfriend from going inside. I knew it was too late. I knew Aaron was gone, he testified. I didn't want her to see that. Hamilton said he did not see the actual shot. Outside the jury's presence, prosecutor Gary Bishop told Judge Brent Robinson he had concerns about Hamilton's testimony differing from his interviews with sheriff's detectives. Specifically, Bishop referenced Hamilton testifying that he did not see Skoog point the gun at anyone and that he last saw the gun on the counter on his way to the bathroom. Hamilton told authorities that Skoog had the gun. Over Whitney's objection, the judge told Bishop he could ask Hamilton about those interviews to refresh his memory. When Hamilton took the stand again, he said Skoog pointed the gun at Smiley and Smiley also pointed the gun at Skoog. Testifies he was drunk. What was your condition? Whitney asked on cross-examination. Drunk, Hamilton replied. Whitney seemed incredulous that Hamilton didn't do anything about the gun business, since Hamilton said Mid-Ohio Pipeline is scrupulous about safety. The defense attorney also asked Hamilton if he had heard the saying, "A man's home is his castle." The trial is expected to last until late this week. There will be no alternate juror. Robinson told jurors that one woman had to bow out for health reasons not related to COVID-19. Madison Trustees OK Summer Chip and Seal Program by Al Lawrence, USA Today Network in Madison Township. Trustees will open bids March 15th for the Summer Road Chip and Seal Program. The board set the date as it approved bid documents for the work during its regular meeting Tuesday. The list of roads that will receive chip and seal treatment include portions of Pat and Everett Lanes, Lepo Road and River, Wade and Nestor Drives, which were recommended by the road department. It includes sections of Fleming Falls, Hull, Sites, Myers, Chew, Taylor, and Keffer roads. That represents part of the township's local match for a $250,000 grant from the Ohio Public Works Commission for a storm sewer replacement project on Manor Drive. The township still has about $121,585 that has not been committed to projects out of the estimated $260,000 in road levy funds that are expected in 2021. Trustees have not finalized a list of roads that will get full paving this year. Does township need more road money? During one of the two public comment periods, Madison Township resident Tom Goff asked if trustees have any intention of putting a new levy on the ballot for road improvements. A number of residents suggested over the past several years that Madison Township needs another road levy in order to pave more roads each summer. Trustee Kathy Swank said she has thought about putting a new levy up for a vote, but has not approached the other two trustees. Board Chairman Jim Hauser said, while he believes more money is needed, now is not the time to ask voters to approve a new levy. I'm not sure it's something that would pass right now with COVID and everybody pretty well strapped, he said. Clarifying the status of a new fire station during the administrative update portion of the meeting, Trustee Dan Fletcher asked what he should tell residents who ask him when it was decided the township is going to build a new fire station in the next 5 years. The information was included in reports on the township's work with the Richland County Land Bank to apply for a federal cleanup grant for a site next to the main fire station on Expressview Drive, where a business building was demolished late last year. I know we talked in preliminary discussions with an architect about what's the process, but when it came in the paper that we're going to build a fire station in 5 years, I didn't know what to say, Fletcher said. Hauser explained when he discussed the grant application with the Land Bank Director, Amy Hamrick, a time frame had to be set when the township possibly might do a project on the site in order to expedite the application. When I talked with her, it was possibly in the next 5 years or so, he said. Obviously, the possibly did not hit the paper, and 5 years hit the paper. Fletcher pointed out it's expected to take 18 months to 2 years just for the brownfield grant to be approved. A consultant has estimated it will cost $60,000 to $75,000 to remove and properly dispose of material that was contaminated with benzopyrene and polychlorinated biphenyl, or PCB. Trustees also learned Tuesday that Neal Incorporated has filed an economic development transfer form to transfer a liquor license to a former drive-through carryout at 1460 Ashland Road. Trustees also reported during a special meeting last Saturday they interviewed 4 candidates to replace former Fire Chief Ron Luttrell, but made no decision. GE Savant to stop making A19 LED bulbs in Bucyrus, cut 81 jobs, by Jerry Goebel. GE Savant plans to cease production of A19 LED bulbs in Bucyrus on March 6th, a company spokesman said Tuesday. After bargaining with the IUE-CWA Local 84704 ended, affected employees were notified of the decision, says Ben Sabol, Director of Communications for GE Lighting, which was purchased in May by Savant Systems, Inc. A Worker Adjustment and Retaining Notification, or a WARN Act letter, was sent to local officials January 6th, notifying them of the company's intent to transfer the production line out of its Bucyrus plant at 1250 South Walnut Street. Of the 81 employees referred to in the WARN notice, 32 have already found new employment, Sabol said in an email Tuesday. In addition to severance packages for the remaining 49 employees, we are bringing in the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services to educate them on the types of job placement assistance that they offer, and we're helping employees apply for any federal benefits they may be eligible for. The GE Savant facility is one of the only residential lighting plants left in the United States, with workers making bulbs for Walmart. Union officials have said the A19 production line will be moved to China. The decision is bad news for Bucyrus Mayor Jeff Resser said when informed of the announcement Tuesday. The A19 line was critical for Bucyrus. I just fear long-term now that we don't have the latest technology, he said. Other employees in the community are currently hiring, he pointed out, offering hope for the workers who lost jobs. In mid-January, union leaders announced in a news release they had asked company officials to team up with the union and city to bring in an outside expert from Michigan State University to seek ways to improve efficiency, productivity, and profitability through a joint labor management review of all of the current work processes. Michigan State University School of Human Resources and Labor Relations has conducted dozens of successful studies with major U.S. corporations, the union release stated. The cost of the study would have been split 3 ways, with the city's share being roughly $10,000, Resser said during a February 2nd Bucyrus City Council meeting. The amount could have been raised easily, he said, but it's a moot point because GE Savant rejected the proposal. I commend the union, Senator Brown, all the ones that got involved to do what they could do. They worked really hard at it, Resser said Tuesday. It's not good news. Bucyrus community members were asked to support the union's effort, and buttons, sign an online petition, were being distributed in late January, urging the company to keep the plant and the jobs in the community. Valentine's Day is around the corner. We're saying to GE Savant, love us, don't leave us, the petition stated. On January 27th, a congressman from the Northern Ohio U.S. Representative Tim Ryan, Democrat Howland, joined union workers outside the lamp plant for a press conference as part of efforts to save the jobs. U.S. Representative Jim Jordan also expressed concerns. On January 30th, a Saturday, a coalition of labor and community groups protested outside 4 Walmart locations in Ohio, including stores in Bucyrus and Columbus. A union news release described it as part of a national consumer awareness campaign informing the public of Walmart's two-faced stance as a champion of Made in America products. U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown also joined the effort, first sending a letter to GE Savant CEO Robert Madonna in January, asking the company to work with IUE CWA Local 84704 and city officials to save the jobs. On Tuesday, prior to the announcement, Brown followed up with a letter to Walmart leadership asking the retailer to get involved. The letter outlines the company's previous commitments to purchase the Bucyrus-made LED light bulbs from GE Savant and asks about its ability to increase its purchasing. Nearly 8 years ago, I joined workers, local leaders, and residents in Bucyrus, the small city petitioned at the heart of Ohio, to celebrate General Electric's investment in manufacturing high-quality, high-efficient light bulbs in the United States, Brown wrote. This investment would not have been possible without Walmart's Investing in American Jobs initiative, which supported making the A19 LED light bulb here. Now, as GE Savant seeks to move its production of the A19 light LED bulb overseas, we ask once again for your assistance in keeping these good-paying union jobs where they belong, in Bucyrus, Ohio. It was announced in May that Savant Systems Inc., an industry leader in the professional smart home space, had purchased the Bucyrus plant, along with GE facilities in Cleveland and Logan, and a distribution center in Canada. The company does not share employment numbers, Sable said in January, but the layoffs affect less than a third of the plant's employees. Other areas of the Bucyrus plant are not affected by this action, Sable said Tuesday. This is a difficult decision we made based on the needs of our business and one that is not taken lightly, particularly in today's environment, he said. It is not a reflection on the hard work and dedication of our valued employees in Bucyrus. And I guess we'll move on from that. Celebrating the 60th Annual Ski Carnival by Monroe Trombley. In Mansfield, standing atop Mount Mansfield on Sunday, Marissa Marquardt had every reason to be nervous. The 18-year-old Lexington woman was about to take part in her first ever bikini race, a staple of Snow Trail's annual ski carnival that draws hundreds of spectators. But Marquardt was composed, almost relaxed in a way. I was born ready for this, she said. That confidence paid off. Marquardt took first place, earning a $100 Snow Trail gift card. Don't forget the gift cards are good at the bar, an announcer said over the loudspeaker. Now in its 60th year, the Ski Carnival is one of the last big events hosted by the resort before closing in mid-March. Normally a 2-day affair, this year's carnival was shortened to 1 due to the pandemic. Sunday's event offered a bit of sun and temperatures hovering around 36 degrees, offering a respite from the recent bone-chilling temperatures that resulted from near-zero wind chills. Marquardt has wanted to compete in the bikini race for years. Her father won the Chippendale portion when she was 6. My mom had to nair my dad, she said, laughing, referring to the hair removal cream. Max Roth, 18, won this year's Chippendale race. He quickly changed into jeans and a psychedelic button-up shirt when he arrived at the bottom of the 300-foot hill. Roth, like Marquardt, had been coming to snow trails since he was little. He began racing when he was 4. Another highlight of the carnival is the Couples Challenge. In one part of the challenge, a team member must guide a blindfolded partner through an obstacle course. Sponsored by New Belgium Brewing Company, the couple must share, or rather chug, a Tallboy Fat Tire Amber Ale after navigating the course. Hannah Dion and Parker Enoch, both 21, placed 3rd in their first ever race. That was way harder than I thought it was, Dion said afterwards, especially those culverts. They're shorter than the skis are, so if you have to go in there, you have to go in crooked. Although she attends the University of Cincinnati, Dion couldn't miss this year's festivities. This is my home lodge. I've been coming here since I was 8, she said. And moving on to our next article, Pandemic Puts Ed Gutschall's Radio Career on Hold by Zach Tugel. In Shelby, a man who sees no strangers, just friends whose names he doesn't know yet, Ed Gutschall has not graced the radio waves of north central Ohio for nearly a year now. His career as a media personality with Mix 106.1 FM WVNO in Mansfield has been postponed since last spring, a casualty of the COVID-19 pandemic. They haven't taken me off payroll, he said. I could go back, but with this COVID thing, who knows? Gutschall has been around all things media since he was a toddler. It was hard to escape being born into a family that owned Modern Radio and TV, which was based in Shelby. His grandfather Fred opened it in 1951. By the time Gutschall was in middle school in the 70s, his father Ed was running the place. When I started working with grandfather, it was Fred, Ed, and Ed, he said with a chuckle. The trio repaired radios and televisions all across north central Ohio, north to Norwalk, east to Ashland, south to Lexington, and west to Bucyrus. Back then, people would call the Gutschalls in emergencies, such as when the television quit working right before the World Series. The best days of their lives was when Dad would come over with his tube caddy because their TV was giving them some issues, Gutschall recalled. Throughout his high school years, he kept helping his dad and grandpa, but also ventured into the business world himself by starting a disc jockey service. His interest in becoming a DJ wasn't sparked so much by his time repairing radios, but more by his time listening to them. I've always been into music, and my father was a big reason for that, Gutschall said. He had a huge collection of music. Then there were sports. The two Eds would listen to the Indians, Browns, and Cavaliers any chance they got. I would go to bed with a little transistor radio so my mom wouldn't yell at me, Gutschall said with a laugh. That's where I picked up a majority of my love for radio. Nobody realized in the 80s that tube televisions eventually would be replaced, so the young repairman turned DJ decided to attend DeVry University in Columbus to become an electronic technician. He came home and kept working for his dad. But by 1989, he was looking for a new gig. Times changed, Gutschall said. We weren't as busy. I'd still help Dad, but there wasn't as much work. He took a new job in the fall of that year with the Mansfield News Journal, where he worked helping with the printing of USA Today. He remembers it well because the Oakland Athletics and the San Francisco Giants were getting ready to face off in the Fall Classic. They had the earthquake at the World Series that year, Gutschall said. Lucky for him, watching the games was a big part of his job. His office was in the fax room, and monitoring the television for big events of the night was one of his primary jobs. Some days it was news, others it was football, but on the best nights, it was the World Series. My job was, if there was something going on, where it would hold up the last few pages. They knew that when it ended, that in about 15 minutes, we would have the page for the newspaper, Gutschall explained. After sending notice of the event's status, he would wait for the film to be sent over so he could take it to the plate room, where it would eventually be made into a coated metal plate that would allow the presses to print the next morning's paper. 7 years later, he found another media opportunity as a disc jockey with 105.3 FM WYHT Mansfield Y105. I had to work the worst shift, which was Friday night from midnight to 6 a.m., Gutschall said. Sometimes I would work Sunday night too. Then I ended up being full-time overnight. His entrance to the radio world meant he would need a nickname to use on air. He didn't put much thought into his selection, which is now famous throughout north central Ohio. At that time, I thought I would just be on the radio for a short while. I never dreamed I would be in radio for more than 20 years, Gutschall said. So just as a joke, I called myself Mr. Ed. Then I was stuck with it for 20-some years. Mr. Ed has entertained audiences on 105.3 FM, 100.1 FM, and 106.1 FM for more than 2 decades, as well as through his personal DJ business. He's had to deal with layoffs and budget cuts over the years, but he's also been given something that far outweighs the bad: the love of his life, Kathy. It all happened thanks to a station obligation to attend a Def Leppard concert with 2 radio listeners who won tickets to the show. Gutschall saw how much Kathy was enjoying the show, so he told her that his roommate had tickets to the next show. I gave her my number and told her he wasn't going to use them and that I could get them for her, Gutschall said. It turned out his roommate had already given them away. Kathy didn't mind all that much and kept in touch. She kind of hung around, Gutschall said. We really just became friends. They eventually fell in love. The two were married in the fall of 1997, when the one thing I enjoy about radio more than anything is that you're doing things for the community. Ed Gotschall, radio DJ Gotschall's famous team, the Cleveland Indians, were in the World Series. The couple have two daughters, Gloria and Julia, who are both in college. When they were toddlers, the sisters had guest appearances on the radio. When I was doing the show back in the day, I would talk about the girls, and people would love that, Gotschall said. When you have kids talking on the radio about Christmas, that was one of the best things ever. Although baseball and music are some of the best parts of his life, Mr. Ed cherishes his family more than anything else. That love extends to his radio family as well. It's been a long year not being on the radio, but he's been able to keep in touch with a lot of his listeners while working for the Hamilton Insurance Group in Mansfield. I will always miss it, Gotschall said. But it is the talking that he misses, or the broadcasting, or is it even the people? The one thing I enjoy about radio more than anything is that you're doing things for the community, Gotschall said. You get to talk about the community. Sure, I get to talk about music, and I enjoy that aspect, but you have a voice to help people, and that's what's cool. That's what's important. Let's move on to local news brief. In Maumee, the Alzheimer's Association Northwest Ohio chapter will be presenting a variety of virtual educational programs February 24th through March 12th to help the community and families impacted by the disease. These presentations cover a variety of topics and occur at different times during the day and evening via video conferencing to allow individuals to participate in the convenience of their homes. They will discuss topics such as what is Alzheimer's disease, warning signs to look for, how to effectively communicate, how to manage behaviors and have difficult conversations, and review several strategies for legal and financial issues. All programs are free and open to the public. Registration is required. To register, call 800-272-3900 or go to alz.org/NW And well, friends, that concludes the reading of the Mansfield News Journal for this wonderful Wednesday, February 24th. Thank you for inviting me into your home this half hour. Please stay safe until we're together again. Be greatly blessed. Make it a great day.